Hey guys, welcome to this episode of My Ethos Podcast. I'm with my buddy Vince, and we're going to talk about some stuff today. We're going to have some fun, chill out. It's summertime, man. It's summer, and it's, you got to take things seriously. I kind of use summer as a time to evaluate my life a little bit, but also to enjoy my life a little bit, to enjoy the fruit of your labor. And Vince and I were both family men, and we have good, fun families, and we're going to be doing some stuff with them this summer. And so the next two episodes are going to be some talks that I've done live in front of an audience at a church, at two different churches, two different places. So I'm going to go ahead and post those the next 2 weeks because I'm going to be gone. But then after that, we will come back and we'll have a lot to talk about. We're going to have some adventures. So we're actually kind of taking somewhat of a vacation with you guys.
Yeah.
And
you're in serious mode right now too. Your voice, dude, you're just like very stoked today for summer.
I am stoic. Yeah.
I'm just like, dude, like let's rip it and grip it. And
you know
have
what?
some
I'm
fun.
in a calm. You know what?
Yeah, you are really calm for summer mode.
It's funny because I was driving over here today and hit the 101 and just crazy traffic. People look upset. It's really hot. It was like 109 degrees in Santa Paula. It's like 90 in Ventura. Nobody has air conditioning. Everybody's freaking out, walking around. They're not freaking out, but it's high energy out there. And so in order to combat that, I'm just going the opposite route.
You just combine it. It's the opposite effect.
Yeah, I'm just trying to have that calm attitude. I've been doing these pool workouts, and I think it's helping my
Sounded
mind.
like pole workout, by the way.
Pole workout? No.
Yeah. Pool workout, though? You've been doing the pole.
Definitely haven't been doing
I was just wondering. I mean, you
pole
just
workouts.
maybe thought put a pole in your garage and was doing some dancing or something.
You know what's funny about that is my wife does these classes. They're called bar. It's BARRE. It's like bar.
Okay,
It's French. It's French for exercising. It's like a ballet type workout class.
All right.
And she's been doing them. And I always ask her, I was like, is there any dudes that show up? She said there's one old guy that kind of does it, and shit's weird.
That's what chicks would say though. If there was like a bunch of hot dudes just sweating it up,
right,
like in the bar workout, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, there's one ugly one."
Just one.
Yeah.
It's really just a bunch of dudes.
Just like dudes with their shirts off, just ripped out of their mind.
Dude.
All I know is if I was going to the
moves.
gym and there's just a bunch of really hot chicks, I'd be like, "There's an ugly one there, babe." That's it.
Exactly. The sad thing is that dancers, male and female, have really good physiques. They do.
Heck
they
yeah.
do good. But
You have to be in shape for that, man.
I just don't think I can bring myself to be a dancer.
Well, I can't wait to go on vacation next week. I'm literally going on vacation on Tuesday, which is awesome.
And you don't take a lot of vacations.
I don't, but I'm definitely going to take my shirt off on the beach. Oh, I'm doing
it's
it.
Awesome, dude.
Dad bod. 100%.
At some point, you work hard, but you just got to own it at some point, right?
Oh, you just
not worry
own
about
it, dude. I'm just owning it, and I don't care. Well, where we're going, the water's a lot like Pacific Ocean, right? Like in Ventura, where we live, or I live now. The water's like 60 degrees, you know, even in the summer. So when it's 90 degrees hitting that water, it's still cold, but then you get used to it because of the sun outside.
Right.
But going to a place like Hawaii, it's like, dude,
it's different.
You can't, you're not wearing, a wetsuit.
No, flip-flops and board shorts the whole time. It's legit.
Trunking it, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you're always trunking it. What's funny is I bought a GoPro, and every couple of years I'll buy a GoPro and then I'll sell it. I have like a love-hate relationship with GoPros because they have that real wide camera view. Yeah. And so if you do like a selfie, it just makes you look even that much fatter.
Yeah.
it's
I'll
really
dad bod that thing all day.
I like to put it really close to my stomach and just let it, just hang out.
Did you get the waterproof casing and all the whole setup?
You know what? The new ones, they don't have waterproof case. They're just waterproof.
No.
Yeah.
I'll look at that.
As is.
How you would think I would know that? I have a YouTube channel about photo gear.
Yeah, but the GoPros are just, it's like once you've used one, they're all the same. But the new ones, the new black ones, they have LCD screens, and you can they're touchscreen.
And you can see your footage and stuff.
Dude, you can actually see what you're shooting, which makes it opens up a whole new world for GoPro.
And they make like gimbals and stuff for those GoPros now, which is awesome.
They make gimbals.
Really cool
they have float sticks, which you don't want to go out in the ocean without one because if you drop it, they sink. So,
gotcha.
It's kind of a problem.
So you want a float stick?
Yeah. So,
dang, dude, I'm looking forward to this.
Anyway, it'll be fun. It'll be nice, man. It'll be nice just to get away and hopefully eat some fresh fish and whatever we're going to do.
Wherever you're at, no matter if you're going to some exotic island or you're going to BV. I know people that live in Ventura that actually go to Lake Buena Vista, which if you don't know what Lake Buena Vista is, you're listening, from wherever. It's just like, we call it just like a poo puddle, but it's a mud puddle in Bakersfield. And people from like LA flock to this place. But wherever you're at, you can have fun. Like barbecue.
It's definitely warm. Yeah, you can have a lot of fun.
Light fires in the 100-degree weather.
So you were talking about this thing called vacation shaming. What was that all about?
Dude. So I read an article in Wired this week, and it was just talking about people who go on vacation during the summer, and when they get back, they're kind of shamed for it. Like everyone's like, "Oh yeah, you missed your work."
Coworkers and
coworkers and bosses
managers.
Get really upset about people taking vacation because like the productivity of the office goes down, and so forth and so on. And I was thinking like, man, like if you're a business owner or somebody that like cares a lot about what you do and your people, like you want your people to come back stoked out of their mind. Like, oh, I took this awesome vacation. Yeah. They want to feel refreshed so that they just hit the floor running. And I think a lot of times is like, especially if there is vacation shaming, or if you go on vacation, you feel like your boss is going to be mad when you come back because you missed a lot of work. You're not going to be as productive, I don't think.
I don't think that it should be allowed to not take a vacation. Because it's those people that are ruining it for everyone. It's the people that just are saying, I'm not going to go on vacation. I'll just work through the year. And those people ruin it for everybody else. And then also they just get burnt. They just get bitter. You know what I mean? And they hate everybody else. It's like, and then the boss is like,
That's true.
No, they don't even notice. The boss doesn't even notice. Boss is on vacation usually, right? They don't even notice who's gone.
I guess it depends.
It's crazy.
I would say definitely. What's crazy is when you think like if you work for somebody, if you're an employee like versus self-employed, like basically I'm self-employed. I take I'm contract with everyone I work for.
You're taking a hit when you take a vacation.
Yeah, and I don't get days off. So when I take a vacation, I have to take my laptop with me because if something.
Oh, I'll be working on vacation.
So for me, I have to work on my vacation, but I chose that. It's something that I chose. It's something that I wanted.
Right.
For a lot of people, they literally get to go away and disconnect.
Well, so and it's cool that we live in a world with that kind of technology because we can go almost anywhere and have internet access, and you can work a couple hours in the morning and have the rest of the day to be with your family, and that's nice.
Dude, the one thing that I wanted to make sure, which is cool, was the house that we rented. Was to make sure they had Wi-Fi because I was like, I know that I can wake up super early, get all my work done, and just be, and have a blast for the day, which is
huge, man.
Awesome.
It's really huge. So if you guys are out there and you're wondering if you should take a vacation or not, do it, man. Budget it out and do it. And, it's the memories with your family that always matter. If you're single though, and you can push through, whatever you gotta do.
No, I do.
I get it.
Yeah, I get it. I think there's the hustle and the grind. And I think, a lot of people, it's funny because I was listening to somebody talk the other day, and they were talking about like the idea of a Wednesday, a hump day, and then they can't wait till Saturday because Saturday is, the day off. And he's just like, people with that mindset are really broken because they don't have the hustle in them. And I just don't think that's true. I think you do need a day of rest. And I think having that day of rest might not, some people might go and they might grind, 80-hour work week. But even if you do an 80-hour work week, you still need a time to breathe and self-reflect.
Well, I think it comes down to finding a way to do what you love in the confines of what you do as a profession. Because there's different ways you can do your work to where you can enjoy it more. And so I think it's best to and this is where I'm at, where I really do look forward to Monday because I know that there's something I can get done that week. There's something I can accomplish to professionally to further, what it is I'm trying to do. But I also look forward to Saturdays and Sundays because it's nice to be able to be with my family. So, and to rest. I think rest is huge. I think rest is really important. It's a recalibration. We need our minds need to be recalibrated. Our perspective needs to be recalibrated pretty regularly, or else we get stuck in a rut.
Well, I think finding a rhythm is good too, like where you have, even if you're doing a 40-hour, 60-hour, 80-hour work week, but then having a rhythm and knowing that day of rest and exactly, when you're going to be able to recalibrate, like you said. And I think
like this last week was 4th of July, and I took a day off on 4th of July. It was nice. I took pretty much the whole day off. I might have worked an hour or two in the morning, but for the most part, I just didn't do any work. And it was a wonderful day. The next day was a little rough, but I'm not going to lie. I had a lot going on the next day, but it was still worth it to me because I was able to spend time swimming with my kid and my wife and just barbecuing. And it was just nice to have that time, And in the summer, if you're not going to do it during the summer, you're not going to have time to do it in the fall, and you're not going to have time to do it in the winter. Yeah. So summertime is the time to do it. It's time
when the living's easy.
When the living is easy, exactly. To quote a band from older times. So my Ethos podcast is rocking. I thank you guys. I've been talking to some people, friends of friends and whatnot, people that have been listening to it. So I just want to say thank you guys for listening. Thank you for subscribing. I would appreciate it if you would do that. And send this to somebody that might appreciate it. We're doing this for love, literally. We're not getting paid to do this. We're not getting anything out of it at this point. Maybe someday, but at this point, we're literally doing it for you guys. And we just want to give you guys just a bump, help, some sort of encouragement throughout the week. And whatever your life is like, maybe you're not going to have a vacation this year. Maybe you don't have a lot of time to rest, and maybe you are in the grind. Maybe things aren't going well. And if that's you, we just want to say, hey, man, we're there for you too. Like we get it. Life isn't always easy. It's not always fun. But there's important work to be done. And that work begins with you and who you are. And so tonight, or today's podcast, we're actually doing during the day, I want to talk about life work, about where you are in life. And first of all, the fact that you have a value, that your life is like a book that's being written and it's not finished yet. And so what kind of book is it? Is it a drama? Is it a comedy? Is it a thriller? You know, what kind of book is your life? And what is that book going to speak to the world around you about? And just being intentional about that. And so, Vince, I want to just ask you a couple questions to start. Let's talk about the importance of being intentional with your work. Like, there's a story in the book of Genesis, all right? And it's God creates Adam and Eve.
Okay.
And he creates the earth, and he creates like this garden, and they're naked and they're happy because they don't realize that it's just life is good. It's like
bliss.
Natural.
Yep.
It's like perfect. They're eating everything. And then God comes along and says, don't eat this fruit. And they eat that fruit and they get kicked out of the garden, and it's not bliss anymore. It's like goes from bliss to not bliss. And then part of the curse that God puts on Adam and Eve is that the woman is going to have pain in childbearing. And so a lot of scholars, a lot of people believe that women, like their main focus in life is family, right? Like, and not to get, I know that there's a lot of people out there that are gonna probably say something about this, but I'm just speaking to the tradition of this story. And so in this story, God says your pain is going to be with your kids, your pain is going to be with your family, and it's true. Like a lot of women that I know, their focus is on keeping their home in order and making sure that their children are okay, making sure that their kids have everything that they have. And for men, that's a focus as well, but we do it differently. Like for a lot of men, the focus is on work. And I know that I'm speaking from a 1960s perspective right now, but I'm doing this because I want people to understand that this is kind of where that tradition came from. And so women, they focus on home, and then men focus on work and bringing home the bread. That's naturally how it's been done for years and years and years. It has changed, and I totally get that. Some women bring home the bread. Some men watch kids. That's fine. I don't care. That's totally good. My point is that and whether you're a man or a woman, if you are somebody who provides for your family, your focus is on getting better at what you do. So your focus is on being the best at what you do. And with social media and with the way our culture is these days, it's almost like it's become an obsession to be successful. It's become an obsession to be the best at what we can be. And that isn't all bad, I don't think. I think it's good to have a competitive nature, right? But I think it's also interesting that that's where people's focus is, instead of like everybody wants to crush everyone else. Everyone wants to be better than everyone else. But then there's this idea that everyone can be the best, right?
Okay.
But that's just not the case. And so I propose that instead of focusing on being better than everybody else and crushing the competition and being the most successful person in the room, I propose that you focus on self-improvement. You focus on getting better at who you are, at what you do. And not just focus on picking weeds, not just focus on the work, not just focus on bringing the bread home, but focus on your long-term legacy, focusing on what is this long-term book that you're writing of your life, and what is it that you are communicating to the people around you, right? And so, what are your thoughts on that?
What are your thoughts on that? That was a mouthful. Yeah, I mean, I definitely resonate with what you're saying. Having a life's work and having, I guess it's an encyclopedia of work versus like having one chapter that says something. I like what you said in the beginning. You kind of said, what's your story going to be? And I don't know if I definitely don't think I have one story. I think I have many books in one story.
When you wake
I'm
up,
a Harry Potter
right,
book.
yeah. Well, Harry Potter has, there's a theme there, right?
Yeah.
But when you wake up in the morning, what is your focus on? Like, what hits you? What's the weight that falls on your shoulders? Really?
I mean, I think the weight on, if you're just completely honest, I think the weight is the idea, like you said, providing, like, the weight of every day and every morning. I think that's, I think that anxiety can overrun us and overtake us and have control over us. I think a lot of people, if you're in a place and you're saying the weight that I wake up with is, just being a better that's awesome, but I think a lot of the weight that I wake up with bearing is becoming a better person, but also providing for my family. I want to make sure that they have clothes and food.
But you also, and I just know you, right? I'm just going to say this. You also want to get better at what you do.
I do, but I'm just saying, if I'm on it when I wake up in the morning,
that's your anxiety.
The thing that I wake up, and I'm not saying I wake up every morning like, oh my, when my alarm clock goes off,
right.
I got to make cheddar today. That's not what's in my mind. It's just, that is one of the things that's constantly ticking for a lot of people. You ask a lot of people, would you continue doing the thing that you do for the rest of your life if you had a choice, if you had an option, if you can have any job you wanted, would this be the job that you chose for yourself? And I don't know that, everyone would say yes, or that everyone would be complacent with the job that they're doing. A lot of people do the job that they're doing because it's out of fear that if they leave that job, that they won't be able to provide anymore. A lot of the times it's out of complacency, that it's easy, they know how to do it, so they'll just keep doing it even if they hate it.
Right. Fear, though. Let's go back to that.
Okay.
A lot of us live a reactive life. A lot of people that I know live most of their time as reactive. And even if you're at the best you're the best in your field and you're really successful, I think that there's a reactive nature inside of us. That's how we are as humans. We're going to listen to the loudest voice, right?
Right.
I said, so like last week, I took the day off for 4th of July to hang out with my family. Well, the next day I was piled with work. I had a ton of work to do.
Right, yeah.
And then my wife needed some stuff, and some other people, were just needing stuff from me. And you know how that is. When you're the person that can only do what only you can do, people want you to do it. They need you to do it. And so they'll constantly, there's all these voices, and it's almost like the loudest voice wins. And so we become very reactive in our nature. And I've seen people become super stressed out in life because they're so reactive and they're so stressed out that they're not pleasing everybody. They're not taking care of everything because they feel like they're not being responsible or whatever. And there's a truth to that. I think that the goal for myself, for most people, it would be to, and for you as well, I think the goal would be to get to a place where you get ahead of that, where and I've seen you do this, where you give the people what they want or what you think they want, which isn't always the case.
Right.
Give them what they want, and then have time at the end of the day to work on the stuff that you feel in your heart you need to work on.
Right.
Like this podcast, for example, for us, that's what this is for me. Like this is what I feel like I should be doing in life. And so I have to work extra hard throughout the week to get my other stuff done, to make sure that I have time to do this. I'll be working all weekend. It's just, you got to make up for it. You got to make room, I think, for the life work kind of thing. But I think even in the reactive nature of things, you can go about it in a way that is productive for you and for them. What I mean by that is it has to do with your mindset. It has to do with like how are you going about reacting? Like if somebody's calls you or emails you and says, "Hey, I need this done by noon." Okay,
right?
Like a project. I need this done by noon today, and it's an emergency, but this person pays you, and you have to do it, right? You have an opportunity to have a good attitude about it, or you have an opportunity to get really upset about it, right? It's a choice. Like at the end of the day, it's a choice. And so
I think it's a mindset though too, because, you know, when somebody sends me client work, or if I have people saying, can you get this done? I'm stoked about it, because I like the idea of somebody just says, hey. What I don't like, especially when you work for somebody, is when somebody just doesn't just tell you what they don't like, what they want. Like if somebody just tells me like, I want this
directly, right.
I love it.
Right.
I can get that done. I can punch it off a list and get creative with it later, like saying, I can do this a different way, or maybe help it, or, you know, sprinkle, you know, definitely you can say, put the sprinkles on the cake or on the cupcake, whatever. I think you put sprinkles on a cake, on a cupcake. Yeah. I'm getting real technical now about these cupcakes. I'm craving cupcakes right now.
Man, that sounds amazing.
But I'm just saying, like, you know, I think one of the things that people get challenged with, or in this vein, is that you never get a chance to really see how far you can throw the ball. And let me just kind of like spell this out. And I think for a lot of you, like you said, you get a list and you said, okay, somebody says, hey, you got to go do this or do that, or be here or be there or whatever. And you get that thing, and then you have a life's work. And sometimes we really don't get to extend how far we can really take our life's work, or this idea that's boiling up inside of us, right? Like there's like, we have these cool ideas, and like, man, this is maybe how we can be more effective on social media, or these are the kinds of videos I want to make, or this is the kind of building I want to, you know, construct, or this is the kind of car I want to, you know, whatever the case may be, whatever you do, you might have this vision in your mind, but because you have this 9 to 5, or, you know, 9 to 10, whatever job, you know, for some of you guys, it's 5 a.m. to 10 o'clock at night, you know, it doesn't stop. We know what that's like sometimes, but, you know, it's this thing that never stops. And so you don't have time to really extend yourself and find out how far you can really throw your ball, like the thing that you want to do, because everything else takes its precedence. And I think what happens is, again, we just go back. We're like, well, I'm never going to have time to really build the thing I want to build. And so I'm just going to go back. And why even try? Right. And I think for a lot of us that it gets the best of us, you know, it's like, why, if I don't have time to really fully commit myself to this thing, then why am I going to try? It's like this, right? If I was in the NBA and I was playing basketball, and I only had everyone else, they could commit themselves full time to being a professional NBA player. Right. But I only had 1 day a week to do it. Right. When I showed up for the game and had to sit on the bench, or when I showed up for the game and only got to play 2 minutes, or playing garbage time, isn't the saddest thing in the NBA, by the way, that's common about this. There's a time called garbage time. And even everyone's in on it. They're like, oh, it's garbage time. The announcers, you're watching, it's the last 2 minutes. It's so sad. These guys the bench players get to come in. They're like, it's garbage time points. No one cares. And literally the announcers are in on this. Yeah, but I'm just saying, but when you feel like you get to put 1 day in and you're the garbage time player, it's like, why am I here? Why am I even trying?
Right. Well, they're getting paid pretty well. That helps.
Well, I'm just saying, like, obviously I'm sure that helps. But I think in the same sense, you say that, right? But there's a lot of guys on the bench that you hear about that are in that garbage time that actually want to make a name for themselves, be a better player, you know? And we're talking about basketball, and they're not, you know, curing AIDS or doing whatever the case may be. But I'm just saying, when you only have a little bit of time to put in this thing, and you feel like you're a bench player in it, and you really feel like you have something to say, but you can't say it because you have all this other stuff going on, I think it really, I would say, it puts you in a state of depression. It just really,
well, it comes down to
stops you from doing your thing.
It comes down to pulling weeds, I think. There are most days that's what you're doing. You're pulling weeds. Most days you go out, you see a problem, you take care of it, handle it. That's what you do most days. And I think that if you can learn to do it with a good attitude, learn to focus on what you can and can't control, okay? And the things that you can't control, learn to have a good attitude. But then the things that you can control, like your own attitude, like your mindset, focus on that. And I think you'll get better. You'll be a better person. You'll start to improve. You'll start to improve the way you react with people. You'll start to improve in the way you do projects. So you'll start to, and it'll take the energy and it'll cut it in half. I mean, if you think about, if you have a stressful project to get done during the day, right? And let's say that you spend half of your energy just stressed out and mad and just focused on why this is happening to you. Then how come your coworkers aren't helping you, and how come this person isn't doing their job, or how come, there's all this energy spent versus just not spending the time on doing on all these negative vibes, basically, but spending time and energy on just getting the job done. Then you'll have time and energy to do whatever you need to do at the end of the day. Like,
see, I like what you're saying though, and this is where I'm changing. I think as you get older, wisdom starts kicking in, and everyone says that, you know.
it's slow.
It's slow, but it starts
slow going.
It's slow going. But I think one of the things you asked, what do I think about when I wake up? And I think the first, is the providing part. But I think I'm also in a place in my life where I do want to get better, but I want to get better with a tribe or with a team.
Right.
Because I think having people around you,
you have to. Yeah.
No, but I think it's even more like we say that. That's just cliche to say, like, oh yeah, have good people around you and they're there for support or whatever. But I'm talking about a group of people that really believe the same things you do about the way that you do life, the way that you work, the way that you approach social media.
Or even if they don't believe everything the same.
They don't have to, right?
You can find common ground and work with each other. Like you and I, like we work together all the time. We don't agree on everything.
No, not at all.
We share each other's opinions, I'll share my opinion with you. You share your opinion with me, and we grow from that.
But I think it's even one step further. So if you're in a workplace, right, and this goes with anything, construction, you're in automotive, you're doing your thing, right? You're talking about pulling weeds, right? Mm-hmm. I think a good teammate or a good idea of like a tribe or this idea of having a group around you is the guy that is part of your team looks out and says, hey man, like I sprayed that 2 days ago with weed killer. It's done.
Right.
Let's come back in. Let's do this thing. And I think that's where a lot of times where we get overwhelmed as individuals,
right,
because we don't have a good team or support around us that said, hey, like, dude, I got you. And that's why think about vacation shaming. We just talked about this in the beginning, right? Sometimes we're afraid to go on vacation, or people don't want to leave because when they come back, they know they're going to get thrown under the bus or things are going to happen because they don't have a support system that was just there when they left that said, hey, this person got me, this person, they have this connection that, is working for them. And I think
it just seems like being the source of the support. So being somebody that's just helping somebody else out.
Right.
Without expectation of return.
Right.
It's very Christ-like, very Christian-like, very like white-like. I don't know. Like it's a good. Not that white's good. I mean, what I mean.
I got the light, the bright light.
Trying to make a joke and it
it
didn't work.
I got you.
So, anyway, my point is it's that idea of just being valiant and just trying to help somebody out. Like, you don't get the credit, and people aren't like that as much anymore.
But I think it goes beyond that.
I wish people understood that when you do go out of your way to help somebody, it really will help you in the end. It really will. Like if you look out for somebody else, like I remember just recently some guys helped me move, and you were one of them, and I just remember this, and I remember these people helping, and it's like I'm next time that person comes to me and asks me for something, I'm going to be like, yeah, I'll help you for sure. 100%. Even if I don't have time, or even I'm going to go out of my way to do it. We live in a society that is reciprocal. We live in, right? Like in a exchange society.
Right.
A lot of people don't realize that. And so they're looking out for themselves and they're like, hey, look at me, look what I'm doing. And nobody cares because you're not helping others. You're not looking out for other people, right?
Well, yes, 100%. But I do think there's nothing, and this sounds weird, I think there's times where you give and you don't expect anything, right? Where you just go help your friend move, or you're doing this thing. But when you're in a community of people and you set yourself up like this, and this, you do something like whatever, you're working on a project and your friend's like, hey, I already did that part of it. Like, let's move. You're like, oh, dude, yes. And doesn't that like initiate something to make you want to work harder and take the next step and say, okay, like now that he's helped me here, I'm going to go initiate that. And not that you feel like you've owed something.
Right.
But you do feel like you're on a train. Like this guy helped out here. Dude, I want to be able to help out here. And it's not like a competitive thing where you're competing with your own team.
It's an influential thing.
It's exactly. And dude, I honestly feel like more can be done now on a team. I honestly would say like 3 or 4 years ago, I thought it was about, being a really great individual. And I think you should have your own thing in the sense of you should bring something to the table. You talked about this in a couple podcasts ago. Like you should bring value to the table.
Right.
But at the same time, sharing that value and working with the team, I think that's where we can get more life's work done. And because life work isn't just, we're designed, you kind of talked about what my ethos is. Like our life work revolves around 3 things. What are those 3 things you would say?
Well, I would say ethos. Spiritual health, mental health, and physical health.
Okay, so if those are our 3 base things, right?
And my philosophy in that is that if you get healthier as an individual, then you are a greater resource to the people around you.
For sure.
If you're healthy. You have, like if I physically can work longer, if I mentally can handle more stuff that comes my way, if I spiritually can have a calm heart and a good mind, I'm in a place where I'm helpful. And versus if I'm a mess, if I'm addicted to drugs, or if I'm emotionally unstable, or if I'm just way out of shape, or not sleeping good, like I'm a mess. I'm literally no good to the people around me. And I know a lot of people like that, and it's sad when you see people that just give up in improving themselves. They just stop. It's a travesty, dude. And it's sad because people don't realize that it's not a selfish thing to take care of yourself. It's really not. It's like I'm flying today, and what do they tell you on the airplane?
They tell you
if you're flying with a small child, they always tell you to put your air on first, and then you put it on the child. And and every time somebody hears that, they look at each other like, what? What is this? But it totally makes sense, because if you're completely unconscious, you can't help your child. And a lot of people are walking around unconscious because they're not taking care of themselves. And if they're not taking care of themselves, then they aren't going to be able to take care of the people around them. They're just not. It's like there's levels. I was listening to a new podcast with Rogan and Jordan Peterson, and Peterson's talking about this exact thing. He said, if you can't take care of yourself, then you can't take care of the people around you. And so the goal of every individual in life, the life work of every individual should first be to take care of themselves, to become healthy, not to become sexy or strong, to have great muscles or to be an intellectual person that can put others down, but to be smart enough, to be healthy enough, to be emotionally stable enough to just be able to take care of the people around you. Then it's first yourself, first yourself, then it's the people in your home, right? Your family, your wife, your kids, and then it goes on to your friends, and then it goes on to just the overall community. And if you can get to that place where you are constantly recognized as a resource for others, then that's when your influence will grow. And that's when you'll actually have leadership. You'll actually have strength. Leaders are in the service business. They are in the taking care of other people business. Sure. And if you are out there and you want to lead, and you want to have a business that has an impact on others, or if you want to do something amazing in the social sectors, or if you want to be a great pastor someday, or if you want to, whatever it is that is on your heart to do, focus on serving first. Focus on looking out for people. It sounds cliche. It's something we've heard a billion times before, but it's true. If you can look out for others before you look out for yourself, that's the number one step that you need to take to becoming a leader. And that's it. I mean, you look out for the people that are around you. Somebody was talking about leadership, and I can't remember who it was. I'll have to remember. But they were talking about like the way people think of in terms of leadership is like a pyramid, right? And where the leader's on top and the crap rolls downhill, right? Like the leader kind of controls everybody down there. But he said it's really the opposite. The leader's actually at the bottom holding everybody up. That's what leadership is. You're holding the people up around you. They're holding other people up around them. Yeah. It's a flipped ideology.
So let me ask you this as we wrap up. Mm-hmm. So talking about life work, and I agree with you that all that stuff is good, and I think that's valuable. I think if the people in your team are healthy, and I think that's when one person goes down, you're able to revive them, like you said. So I think all of that's good, and I think that contributes to life work. Now let's, for 1 second, because I think a lot of younger people do listen. Do you think there's a shift now with people like where a paycheck doesn't matter as much?
Oh yeah. 100%.
And why? Like what? I mean, just like
why does that matter, or why is it like that?
Because I think there's a lot of people like we were raised that you go to school, you do your thing, get your paycheck. It doesn't, even if you don't value your life's work, you just do it anyways because you need to buy the home, you need to do this thing.
One reason that a paycheck doesn't work is one reason that a paycheck isn't the most important thing to the young people is because they're rich. And what I mean by that is we live in a society. I heard just recently that if you make $30,000 a year, which some young people don't, but if you do, you're in the 1 percentile in the world.
That's insane.
$30,000 a year.
Yeah.
the rest of the world lives in poverty. They really do. And in America, it's not too difficult to get to that place if you work a normal job. And these kids, they're getting paid well what they do. They can Uber at night. They can, have a Starbucks job during the day, and they can float and they can be okay. And they say a paycheck doesn't matter that much, but it's because they have enough resources. I saw some kids on the way here in a van, an old van, and they were driving around, and you could look at these kids, these young millennial kids, and driving around in a van, and you think, oh, those kids, they don't have much, but they're surviving. But that's not true. You have to have some resources to be able to drive around in a van. Like that takes money, dude. That's gas. That's
with surfboards
food,
on top.
Surfboards. Like these kids are spending money on coffee.
And no commitment to anything around them. They're just like, yeah, I called in work today.
So we live in a society that's super fortunate.
Right.
We have had some financial issues in our country, but dude, we are nowhere near the poverty-stricken state that our grandparents were in. Like my grandparents came out from Oklahoma in the Dust Bowl days, and they lived. I was talking to my dad about this just the other day.
The Great Depression.
Yeah, they lived in those huts in Arvin, and they worked in the fields all day long. My dad said that when he was a kid, the whole family worked in the fields. They picked cotton. They worked. My dad was like telling me about these sheds that are next to the train tracks. Yep. And at midnight, and when he was in high school, at midnight he would drive out there, and they would just load trucks all night long, and then he would basically feel sick the next day and not go to school. And we just don't have that society anymore. We have kids that are. You can get a job and you can survive, and it's great. That's awesome. That's really good. But it's put a weird drive in some of these young people that they think that they can become now. The next step is fame. The next step is fame and fortune from their Starbucks job. And I'm not knocking that idea, and I'm not knocking dreams, but we just live in a different society. We live in a society where the value of providing for a family, or the value of becoming known as the strong person in your community that people can come to for advice, the value of just being a good person that others respect, that works hard, that value is diminished now. And I don't know if that's a temporary thing or if that's a long-term thing, but I think it could be temporary. I think that eventually, kids are kids, and kids are going to grow up. And so if you're young, what was the question? I kind of went off on a
No, you're just
tangent.
saying, does the paycheck matter? And I like what you said. You're good. You stayed right on topic the whole time, even though you ventured off. You're good.
I mean, trust me, dude. I let's put it this way. I'm very fortunate. I'm a very fortunate person.
Yeah, I feel fortunate too.
I make a decent living. I have some freedom. I work hard, but I have a good life. I really do. But I recognize that it's a blessing, a huge blessing. I don't deserve it. It's a blessing from God, and it's there's a scripture that says, to whom much is given, much is required, and I believe that. I think that if you are given a lot, that you should give a lot. You should be a resource. You should learn to be somebody who others can look up to, and you should become a helpful person. And everyone has the ability to do that, to get better, to be better, to be able to give more,
Yeah, definitely.
So anyway, those are just a little thought for the week, but we're going to go take a little trip with the families. We've never taken a trip with our families together, so this anyway. And so we're excited about that, but we'll be back in a couple weeks. But we're going to keep uploading next week and the week after. I'm going to be speaking. I spoke in Bakersfield. I'm going to upload that one. I'm speaking in Vegas this weekend, and we'll upload that one. And so we'll see you in a couple weeks. All right, guys? Anything else you want to say?
No, that's good. Yeah, have fun.
Yeah,
try to have fun if you
try to enjoy your life. Try to rest at least a little bit. All right. Have a good summer.